On this week's Peace and Prosperity, we discuss North Korea's recent efforts to strengthen its ties with Russia following the failed talks in Hanoi. We also take a look at whether President Moon Jae-in's upcoming summit with his U.S. counterpart will produce a breakthrough in stalled nuclear talks. Lastly, we examine the latest trends in North Korean TV programs.
Hello and welcome to our program. With South Korea-US summit meeting slated for next week, April may prove to be a watershed moment for denuclearization of North Korea. On this program, Peace and Prosperity, this week, we will discuss what kind of role President Moon Jae-in of South Korea is expected to play as he prepares to sit down with his counterpart, US President Trump, for their 7th meeting. Historically, South Korea has sided with the US and Japan over security issues surrounding the Korean Peninsula, and North Korea with China and Russia. Amid stalled nuclear negotiations between Washington and Pyongyang, there have been signs of warming ties between Pyongyang and Moscow. Here's more on the story.
North Korea's top logistics and protocol official Kim Jina returned home last week after a 7-day visit to Russia. The senior aide was responsible for checking out potential venues ahead of the Kim-Trump summits in Singapore and Hanoi. Kim Jina's trip to Moscow and Vladivostok has triggered speculation that he might be laying the groundwork for a summit between North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and Russian President Vladimir Putin.
김청선 부장이 움직인다고 하는 것은 곧 김정은 위원장의 동선이 그렇게 갈 거다라고 하는 추정치에 굉장히 좀 가깝기 때문에 김청선 부장이 모스크바와 블라디보스톡을 방문했다는 것 자체가 이미 의전적인 문제를 조율하기 위해 갔다고 한다면은 북러 정상회담이 임박했다 이렇게 이제 볼 수 있는 것인데.
In the 1940s, the Soviet Union, the predecessor to today's Russian Federation, played a central role in the founding of North Korea. The possibility of a Kim-Putin summit has been raised since last year. Russia's foreign minister and Supreme Court Chief Justice visited Pyongyang last May and November, where they proposed talks between the two leaders. The proposal was Moscow's attempt to stay relevant in the denuclearization process of the Korean Peninsula, given the rapid unfolding of events such as inter-Korean talks, North Korea-US talks, and North Korea-China talks.
푸틴은 2000년에 자신이 대통령에 당선이 되자마자 방문을 했던 곳이 평양입니다. 북한이죠. 동북아시아, 특히 한반도의 최대 현안이라고 할 수 있는 이 비핵화 프로세스에서 자신의 어떤 강대국으로서의 역할을 보여주고 현시하고 또 가능하다면 이를 통해서 자신의 어떤 동북아의 입지, 한반도 내에서의 입지를 강화하고 또 비핵화 프로세스가 마무리되는 단계에서 만들어질 수 있는 동북아시아의 신질서 속에서 본인이 어떤 항구적인 이 행위자로서의 입지를 만들려고 하는 측면에서 효용 가치가 있었다 이렇게 볼 수 있겠습니다.
North Korea seeking closer ties with Russia after the failed talks in Hanoi is also seen as a calculated move. The failure to strike a nuclear deal to boost his economy has left Kim Jong-un more desperate than ever. Also, Kim is signaling to Washington that he may seek a new path by involving Russia in denuclearization dialogue. There has been also talk of a possible meeting between Kim and Chinese President Xi Jinping following the Hanoi summit. But watchers say Russia could be a safer choice for North Korea, citing China's recent trade row with the US.
중국에 대해서 북한이 많은 역할을 좀 기대를 하고 제재 완화나 그리고 향후 비핵화 과정에서 좀 자신들의 지지자, 스폰서 역할을 좀 해주길 바라는데 사실상 얻은 것이 거의 없다고 보여지는 것이죠. 왜 그러냐면 미국과 중국이 무역전쟁이라고 하는 큰 직접 강대강으로 힘겨루기를 하는 상황에서 북한이라고 하는 부담을 중국이 스스로 지고 갈 이유가 없는 것이죠. 합리적으로 봤을 때.
It remains to be seen how a possible Kim-Putin meeting will affect future nuclear negotiations.
구소련 소속 공화국들의 비핵화 프로세스와 이 한반도에서 진행되고 있는 비핵화 프로세스는 상당한 차이가 있는데요. 다만 이 북핵 문제가 사실 굉장히 오랜 시간 동안 끌어져 왔던 문제 아니겠습니까? 바로 이 한반도에서 벌어지고 있는 이 상황에 대한 나름의 해법. 그러니까 이 문제는 미국이 이야기하는 것처럼 또는 어떤 미국의 이 보수적인 성격의 정치인들이 이야기하는 것처럼 굉장히 짧은 시간 동안 해결되기에는 굉장히 근본적으로 다양한 문제들을 안고 있다라고 러시아가 생각하고 있다 이렇게 볼 수 있을 것 같습니다.
The two countries' close relationship is also driven by a mutual economic interest. Russia needs to have North Korea on board to push forward its new Eastern policy. In the face of tough international sanctions, North Korea too needs to rely on joint projects with Russia, such as the Najin Hasan project, to keep its economy afloat.
미국도 역시 이 협상이 파탄나기를 바라지 않기 때문에 북한이 특히나 궤도에서 협상의 궤도에서 이탈하는 것을 바라지 않기 때문에 이 북한이 협상의 궤도에 그대로 남게 하는 측면에 있어서 중국과 러시아가 어떤 역할을 할 수 있지 않을까 하는 그런 기대도 있는 것 같습니다. 따라서 지난 제1차 북미 정상회담을 전후한 시기와 다르게 현재의 시점에 있어서는 러시아가 북한을 만나고 중국이 또 북한을 만나는 측면에 대해서 일정 정도 양해가 될 수 있는 부분도 있을 수 있다. 저는 그렇게 생각합니다.
The North Korea-Russia relationship is creating a new dynamic in denuclearization talks. With new developments involving regional powers, including a Moon-Trump meeting and a possible Kim-Putin meeting, April could be a critical month for the Korean Peninsula.
For today's discussion, we are joined by Dr. Kim Jina, Research Fellow at Korea Institute for Defense Analyses. Welcome back, Dr. Kim.
It's good to see you again.
All right, we have watched a video clip on the possible warming ties between Pyongyang and Moscow. What do you make of the video clip, its content?
Unlike China, Russia has been saying that the nuclear issue and peace and prosperity on the Korean Peninsula has to be dealt by key members.
Sure.
Yes, the parties directly involved in this matter. So I think it is not likely that the Russian government is going to interfere actively into inter-Korean domestic affairs. Rather, Russia actually wants to have a peaceful surroundings, and it is possible that it does not want to have military escalation increasing on the Korean Peninsula. So that means Russian government is supporting continuing dialogue over the ongoing the issues on the Korean Peninsula. And we have to also think about Russia's interest in economic side, especially Russian government has key interest in inter-Korean peace and cooperation as well as economic cooperation at the same time, because it is possible that we can expand this type of economic project with other neighbors of the Korean Peninsula, and such as connecting railroads, connecting the pipelines, and also power grid projects are key agendas that may be considered by the Russian side. So we can, as long as we can keep Russia on our side in facilitating all the dialogue and economic cooperation, I think it is a good thing for South Korea as well.
We have examined that Russia and North Korea are busy warming up their ties, but we also need to discuss the other end of the equation, which is United States and South Korea.
Right.
And President Moon Jae-in of South Korea is going to have a 7th meeting with U.S. President Donald Trump. In that summit meeting, what kind of items will be on the table for a negotiation between the two leaders?
I think the primary goal of this dialogue is to find ways to have a resumption of nuclear talks between the U.S. and the DPRK. Because right after the Hanoi summit, President Trump called President Moon Jae-in to discuss what's going to happen next. So he proposed, okay, let's have a talk over lunch. So after that, there were lots of discussions at the working level. By saying that we are going to talk about resumption of nuclear talks with the DPRK means that U.S. has interest in having the next step with the DPRK. So here we have a shared interest, resuming talks again and again. It is South Korea's interest to prepare fully about the agenda and also proposal for the next talk between the U.S. and the the DPRK. And I believe that as long as we would like to continue this dialogue, and as long as South Korea wants to play a key role between the U.S. and the DPRK, I think after the U.S.-ROK dialogue, there can be inter-Korean dialogue as well, based upon the consultations between the two leaders. So the key part is denuclearization first, and it is also possible that we are going to discuss related alliance issues, because this year we have to have a joint study on the future alliance, what it should look like in the future. And we also have another SM on the agenda, Special Measurement Agreement, to discuss cost sharing, which is also related to nuclear issues, because one of the key aspects or the key element of the contention between the two countries was the cost of bringing nuclear assets, strategic assets, to South Korea during the military exercise. Right. If the security threat landscape changes, then we can think about the option of bringing all the strategic assets back to South Korea during the military exercise. So all these are intertwined together. So I think these related issues can be on the agenda.
It seems like it's going to be very tough and dense negotiations between President Moon Jae-in and President Trump. Huh?
Yes, because it's an official visit. Right, working visit. So.
But I'm slightly concerned because I've been hearing two opposite voices about the current state of U.S.-ROK alliance and their approaches to nuclear North Korea. One negative opinion would say that, well, President Moon Jae-in's position is very difficult because North Korea is insistent upon phased approach, step by step. Whereas Trump administration is insisting on all-in-one or all or nothing, and there's no way South Korea can narrow the gap between North Korea and the United States in terms of the denuclearization on the Korean Peninsula as an end goal. On positive note, but there is a hope that North Korea and the United States will listen to South Korea because, as you just said, that all three major parties are on the same page in terms of agreeing that this is time for continued negotiation and dialogue. So are you more on the pessimistic side or positive side?
Well, I don't think there is a rift in the alliance. It's natural and it's very healthy to express some disagreement because we have different ideas and different positions and different interests, even between the two allies. Well, and the way to deal with this disagreement smoothly can prove the level of relations between the two allies. So I think we are in a very good position. And obviously, Minister Kim Jina visited Washington last week to talk about the upcoming talks, especially with regard to denuclearization issues. And it was confirmed that we have a shared goal, which is complete denuclearization. We talk about this comprehensive denuclearization by North Korea every time we meet our allies. And this year, Deputy Chief Kim Hyun-jong also visited Washington to discuss more details about the upcoming talks.
Right, so with the counterpart in the National Security Council in the White House.
Yes. So I think we have this kind of close coordination. An official visit by President Moon will just dispel all the concerns or worries about the alliance, I believe. And of course, you mentioned that there's some disagreement about how to get to the end state, although we already have the same end state with this complete denuclearization. And North Korea does not deny that it is committed to comprehensive denuclearization. But how we get there, there can be some disagreement about how, right?
Right. I'll pick up your point on how. Let's remember South Korean government's argument that resumption of activities in Mountain Gyeongbang tour site and the opening of Kaesong Industrial Park may be conducive to leading North Korean leadership to carry out more verifiable steps toward denuclearization. But that argument was not really positively received by UK or France or the United States. So I believe there is a chasm between South Korea and the United States. Not in terms of seeing the same end goal, denuclearization of North Korea, but in terms of how, the first few steps to be taken. So what do you think of this South Korean proposal that we have to give something, some kind of incentives to North Korea, namely resumption of economic activities in those two areas to test North Korea's resolution and determination for denuclearization first?
Well, I think we have to be clear about this issue because South Korea has never attempted violating the existing UN sanctions at all. What we actually emphasized was we have to think about and consider conditions of lifting sanctions if denuclearization process is taking place by the North. So we have a clear idea about what to give to North Korea after all. It has to be done after North Korea's making practical steps toward a denuclearization. So it is quite clear to me. And of course, the real question is the US government wants to have a very big step toward a denuclearization, whereas the North Korean government wants to have a very small step at a time along the line, right? So South Korea's role is just having a compromise between the two extreme options, which is possibly tying 2 or 3 steps all together to be implemented by the two sides. Because the US and the DPRK also confirmed that they agreed to the idea of simultaneous implementation according to the agreement once made. So South Korea's role this time is possibly to convince North Korea that what we are demanding is not just the total surrender in the first place. And our message to the US is perhaps we have to convince North Korea that we have a clear goal unless we can do some implementation measures step by step. Right, so it's like buying a ticket from Seoul to Busan. When we have a ticket, there should be a clear destination, which is Busan, right? But we don't care how many stops that we'll have on the way, right? As long as we have a clear destination. So how many steps? Well, that can be discussed between the two allies and with the DPRK as well.
President Moon Jae-in, being the effective mediator or chief negotiator between Pyongyang and Washington, what kind of message would you like to give to President of South Korea to be an effective mediator? Because Hanoi summit meeting with no agreement was shocking by any standard, and we are dealing with it afterwards, right? So what should he do in order to restore the credibility and effectiveness of South Korea as a mediator?
Well, I would say South Korea's role is an honest broker. Yes, because there is lack of trust between the U.S. and the DPRK. So South Korea's role is utilizing all the different channels between the two Koreas and different channels between the two allies. As long as we are becoming an honest brokers, then we can send clear message between the two sides. And as I told you, the top-down approach is very important. And the key role that President Moon can play at this moment is to send U.S. message to North Korea to convince North Korea that it's our interest to continue dialogue toward the denuclearization.
I'm sure that the Blue House, President's Office of South Korea, is keenly watching this program, so they would really appreciate your thoughtful comments. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your insights.
Thank you very much.
North Korean TV programs are no longer a rarity for international viewers. Though North Broadcasting is slowly but surely evolving in terms of content and technology. Here's a short clip.
Recently, North Korea's state TV has been experimenting with different ways to tell stories. The new trend is evident in its coverage of New Year's festivities this year.
지하의 종소리가 울리는 평양의 하늘가에 새해 2019년 응축의 축포가 터져오릅니다.
On New Year's Eve in 2018, hundreds of thousands of people gathered at Pyongyang's Kim Il-sung Square for a New Year celebration. The event featured musical performances by well-known artists, including the Mansudae Art Troupe and Kibada Opera Troupe.
설맞이 공연 무대 같은 경우에는 야외에서 그대로 생방송에 가까운 형식으로 진행을 했었기 때문에 뭐 카메라 기법, 뭐 그 다음에 이제 뭐 기술적인 면은 지금은 거의 차이가 없다라고 보는 게 맞고요. 두 번째 이제 내용적인 측면인데 기본적인 구조의 범주는 여전히 이제 당 중심으로 가고 있지만은 상대적으로 오락적인 요소들이라든가 뭐 스포츠 뉴스라든가 이런 면이 좀 많아졌다는 것은 이전하고 구분되는 차이점이라고 할 수 있습니다.
KCTV's Searching for Science sites on the East Coast highlights tourist destinations along the country's East Coast and local cuisine.
5가지 음식감을 가지고 고유한 자기 맛을 내야 하는 이 어복탕은 가정에서는 만들기가 곤란해서 꼭 식당에 와서야 먹어볼 수 있다고 한다.
A reporter sampling the soup prepared by a cook looks very much like South Korean food program. The show also features an entertaining challenge involving tourist couples. A woman sporting a shirt with a luxury brand logo is also a rare sight on North Korean TV. What triggered these changes in the North TV's productions? Watchers suggest the country's young leader could be behind the emerging trends.
최근 들어 김정은 체제에서 강조하고 있는 뭐 사회주의 문명 강국 건설이라고 하는 목표에 맞춰 가지고 그렇게 국가에 제시한 아젠다를 구체적으로 인민들에게 상징적으로 보여줘야 되기 때문에 그리고 가장 쉽게 변화를 보여줄 수 있는 부분이 방송이기 때문에 예전에 비해서 조금 다양한 쪽으로 가고 있다라고 말씀드릴 수 있습니다.
In February, the state media quickly aired footage of Kim boarding the train at Pyongyang Station as he left for Hanoi to attend talks with his U.S. counterpart. This stands in stark contrast to his predecessors, who kept their whereabouts secret. The goal is to cultivate the image of an open, young leader and get more people to watch TV.
주민들이 지겨워 저 이야기 했던 거 또 하는구나 이렇게 듣는 게 아니라 뭔가 새로운 것을 좀 보려고 하는 그런 것이 좀 있기 때문에 북한 주민들이 거부를 안 하는 그런 방송으로 조금이나마 좀 변하고 있지 않나 그런 생각이 듭니다.
Kim is also trying to present North Korea as a normal state to the international community.
근본적인 콘텐츠라든가 표현 범위 안은 이제 사회주의라고 하는 틀에서 벗어날 수가 없는 부분들이고 그래서 뭐 세련되게 표현하는 내용적인 면에서의 어떤 변화가 우선적으로 하고 있는 것이고 그러한 변화가 궁극적으로 보면 이제 질적인 변화로까지 이어질 수밖에 없다라고 생각이 들지만 현재까지는 뭐 조금 더 두고 봐야 될 거라고 생각을 하고 있습니다.
Still, some argue the North's attempt to embrace new ideas to keep up with changing times are worthwhile, as they are based on an admission that it's impossible to cut off all information from the outside world.
본인들 스스로가 우리는 문명국에서 이제는 살고 있다 이런 자부를 가지고 있을 정도로 북한이 조금씩 외부에서 보기에는 좀 작게 변한다고 하지만 북한 주민들이 느끼는 그 체감은 크게 느끼거든요. 그러니까 그렇게 느끼는 것만큼 북한도 거기에서 이제 또 원동력이 돼가지고 또 더 큰 변화를 일으켰으면 좋지 않을까 싶습니다.
Although its primary role has remained unchanged, North Korean TV is starting to see small yet meaningful changes.
This week's keyword is the Supreme People's Assembly in North Korea. What is it? It's like Parliament, National Assembly in South Korea, the Congress in the United States, or the Diet in Japan. It's a unicameral legislature in North Korea. It elects 687 members to constitute the Supreme People's Assembly, lawmaking organization of the North Korean government. According to North Korea's constitution, the Supreme People's Assembly passes and revises laws, establishes main domestic and foreign policies, approves the cabinet's economic development plans, reviews the annual budget of the government, and elects the chairperson and the members of the National Committee. These powers would make the SPA the highest authority in the North Korea's political system. Really? But it is not so. The Constitution recognizes the Korean Workers' Party as the leading party of the state. Thus, the SPA's role is to give the sense of legitimacy and authority to what the party has already decided to lead the country. North Korea's Supreme People's Assembly is set to meet on the day President Moon sits down with President Trump, as both meetings will have significant implications for peace on the Korean Peninsula. We look forward to seeing how they will turn out. And this is where we wrap things up. We'll be back next week. Thanks for watching.